Good morning and welcome to day one of our weekly, I was going to say weekly Nat Chats, our daily Nat Chats for this week. So my name is Deborah Wright. I'm a registered naturopath and massage therapist, and I have a clinic called Nourish Health and Wellness based in Petone in Lower Hutt. This week is Natural Medicines Week, so it's being sponsored by our registered body, which is Naturopaths and Medical Herbalists of New Zealand, NMHNZ for a quicker way of putting it. And it's really around encouraging naturopaths throughout New Zealand and also the public to join in with some free events and have a look at what we do. And so I thought we'd start the week with Nat Chat, and these are going to be happening every morning at 10 o'clock with naturopaths from all around New Zealand, just talking about what they do and what they love about their practice, why they became naturopaths, and different aspects of what we do in our clinics. And today we're looking at the concept of what is naturopathic medicine. So we know what Western medicine is, but what actually is naturopathic medicine? There isn't really a single definition, and everyone you talk to will come up with a different concept. So I'm hoping to get the insight of Paloma and Daisy, who are with me today. We're also going to look at talking about discussing food as medicine, so how we use nutrition as an underlying key component of any treatment orientation that we do, and just looking at how we practice. So welcome to Paloma Vasquez, who is a naturopath and medical herbalist. Paloma is actually also a medical doctor from Chile, and her business, now I didn't check the pronunciation of this, I'm assuming it's Aruraki. Okay, close enough. And the website is aruraki.com, and Paloma is located in Auckland, does home visits and some consults in Grey Lynn, and her focus really is on the healthy cooking classes, so she's going to talk a little bit more about that. And we've got my good friend Daisy Wood, who is a medical herbalist and registered naturopath and has a clinic in Paraparaumu on the Kapiti Coast. And she works under the name Daisy Wood Plant Medicine, and her website's daisywoodplantmedicine.co.nz. So the links to the websites will be at the end of the video, and yeah, we'll get going. So welcome, ladies. Thanks very much for joining me this morning. Tell me a little bit, so I don't know who wants to start. Maybe Daisy, you can start. Naturopathic medicine, what's naturopathic medicine to you?
Ooh,
in a few words.
To me, it is truly holistic, and it's seeing the whole person, which is what holistic is. So not just the little ailment that they've come in with, or big ailment, it's seeing their whole being, body, mind and soul. And,
excellent.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's good. I like that. Paloma, what is it to you?
I agree with what Daisy said, and then I would add that once we see the whole picture, the main tools we have, it's nutrition,
yeah,
herbs. Like for me, those are the strongest one. There's other therapies, but yeah, so it's natural medicine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I go along with that as well. So let's get into the nitty gritty and let's sort of look at food as medicine. So Paloma, perhaps start with you, since you're doing the healthy cooking classes. Tell us a little bit about how food impacts your practice, what you do with it, how it helps us heal.
Well, for me, it's the thing, when I graduated from medicine, you do the Hippocrates oath, but they never talk about food.
Yeah.
And then I learned that actually Hippocrates, he said food is medicine.
Yep.
So when you understand that and you realize how important it is, for me is really, I need to learn first for myself, because before I would cook basic and it would be mostly according to the dietary guidelines, a lot of carbs and dairy is fine and all that. But really, I was getting sick a lot. So that changed. And yeah, if we have a balanced diet and we get that stage that we don't get sick, really, food can be enough to keep you well. It should.
Yes,
unless there's something underlying going. And because of this, I'm very much of like, I take any opportunity. And someone asked me one time, I was working with people with disabilities, and they asked me, would you like to do a cooking class for them? And I'm like, well, let's do it. That was 2 years ago, and we're still doing it. And it's amazing because, you know, you break the myth of people saying people are fussy, like they eat everything. Sometimes we made like a nettle quiche, no problems, you know, so it's like, it's so good. So for me, it's very rewarding. And then it's a way of like going, because the system says this, but we know this is like this. So it's a way of doing my job, you know, like to educate the people that are open. And just before COVID, I was going to do other cooking classes. I did one last year with a library out west in Temanawa. It went very well, and they were like, yes, let's do more. We were going to talk even more about nutrition, how to educate them and all that.
Yeah.
So that's still there. But I think it's so important because it's like, then you empower people to do it, you know? And then the good thing is that now the 31st of October, I'm doing a cooking workshop at Eco Matters. That is a trust in Glendine. They have this amazing organic garden. They have rongoa going around. So it's to integrate this, like going around the gardens, pick up the things that we're going to use, and then cook. So
fantastic. So do you do like wild foraging cooking and things like that as well, or?
Yeah, I've been, this year I haven't done anything.
Well, this year's a bit of an exception, yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing, is like, we've used chickweed, we did the kale chips, the plantain chips, everything, calendula banana muffins, you know, yeah, it's food that we have there that is free, and usually because there are weeds, they just grow. Like, you know, nettle, when you have nettle, you could feed a whole family.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a key source of nutrients as well. I'm pretty sure Daisy has some comments on that as well. So Daisy's our like resident herbal guru down here. Stop it. Maybe not. But there you go.
No.
So what are yours? Tell us about what you do and
well,
that kind of thing.
I mean, off the bat, that question made me go, right, I use food as medicine. I'm not the sort of naturopath that will be writing you nutrition plans or meal plans or anything like that. I'm really, really precise about what I want people to put in, and I give them lots of help around those precise add-ins, and usually it starts with protein and antioxidants, and that will change what that is for the person. For instance, you know, I'm not going to send a suburban mum who has no time off down to the local park to find dandelion plants. It's just not going to work. So, you know, we might add in some, you know, some different greens from the veggie shop. We might get her to have a cup of blueberries a day, and instead of just a sprinkling in her smoothie. You know, it's actually getting therapeutic quantities of the good foods in. And I very rarely ask people to restrict stuff, because I find that it becomes anti-medicine in a way. People get really stressed about it, and yeah, I mean, if they've got intolerances, they do in the end have to restrict, but it's always add in before I take out.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's really important to be real. Busy, stressed out mums are not going to want to even remotely think about picking anything, planting anything, growing anything. Chopping up a herb and pouring hot water on it is a chore. So, you know, you want to make it nice and approachable, and encourage people to look at, I think I tend to, with my clients, get them to do thoughtful shopping. So really think about what they're actually buying at the supermarket. I mean, I'm really big on trying to buy New Zealand produce as opposed to imported produce. So I struggle with things like pineapple because we don't grow them in New Zealand, but I figure that since it's got such a hard outer shell, it's probably okay. But, you know, I very rarely eat imported fruits and veggies, and if they're out of season and you see them in the shop, then they've been imported and heavily sprayed. So I'm kind of like, you know, as much as I would love to eat fully organic and encourage my clients to eat it, it's really pricey in the city in Wellington, and you know, we don't have access to farms. We have to drive for an hour or two to actually get somewhere where you're going to get beautiful farm organic produce. But having said that, you know, there's lots of food boxes and things around now. So is that something that you see your clients using, Paloma? Do you find that happening?
It's a mixture of everything, as you said. Like, there's some people that are very busy, and it's each person, case by case, I find. Like, and yeah, the truth of like the example you gave, like how they're going to get dandelion, but hopefully for me is one day, you know, we can have community gardens, we can have, you know, those are things that should be there.
Yeah.
So I'm just sticking to that. Like, people, why not? Like, if you have time, you could volunteer, or dandelion leaves, like they're in every garden. Like, just identify it. That's why for me it's so important home visits, because what do you have in your house that you don't know?
Wow, that's a really cool thing to do.
Yeah. I like the dandelion one's an interesting discussion. I often have conversations with people around liver support, because I'm a real sort of liver focused naturopath, and I say to them, just go out and chop some dandelion leaves, and they look at me like I've asked them to eat their own hands, and I just don't get it. It's like really simple. And then when I tell them to eat the dandelion flowers, they're like, why would we eat the flowers? And I just think they're actually like really fine, you know. It's actually a funny conversation to have, and especially with kids. So obviously, Paloma, you've got your specific field of interest in the cooking classes. Is that your primary kind of work, or do you do health consults as well?
I do consults, but I think because I'm not from here, you know, it's slowly growing. Is for me, well, we will talk about this later, but it's word of mouth, really.
Yeah.
Like, first started my friends, then their family, then their friends, and it goes like that. And then the community, well, yeah, I think I'm more like the old fashioned. I really like that thing, like to meet people, like in the community and all that. But I find because of this year, I was like, okay, let's do social media. But it's not my first thing, really.
But it's interesting too with the community. And if you think about COVID and lockdown and how everyone was shut off from their community, you know, wouldn't it have been great if we could have had all the families out in their yards growing their own food? It kind of, I don't know, to me it seemed like a lost opportunity to get that information out there. So Daisy, for you, what's your specific interest, like field of interest? Do you have one or do you have several?
Yeah, I have a couple. I am very interested in all things hormones, and a huge percentage of my clientele are midlife women, not actually through menopause, but that 10 years leading up to menopause, and goes hand in hand with that is huge stress levels and burnout and all of that sort of thing. But I also am very interested in the art of medicine making and the art of formulation, and I'm very much the constitutional herbalist, so my formulations aren't going to be generic. They're very, very different for every single person, because every single person has a different constitution, and by constitution I mean on the top level of it, whether you're hot, cold, dry, damp, or highly tense, for instance, or too relaxed. But it goes sort of way deeper than that as well.
We're going to have another conversation about that anyway. I think that's coming up tomorrow. I think the herbal medicine one's tomorrow anyway. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. It's going to be quite cool. So the other aspect of food as medicine is obviously as naturopaths, you know, we want to be seen to be doing what we tell other people to do, practicing what we preach. Reality being that we're human, and you know, some of us are a bit older and hitting that real hormone fluctuation, and I can tell you now from my own personal experience, man, it's just unreal. But what do you guys do for self-care?
For my own self-care?
It
fluctuates greatly. at the moment, I'm walking a lot and doing a 3 times a week workout with a friend, so that's really cool. Food wise, when I'm in a stress state, I tend to lean towards the carbs, and you know, running a clinic, I'm quite often stressed. And over COVID, that's led me to put on a bit of podge this year. As Deb said, we are human. But yeah, I'm just re-looking at what I'm doing right now in terms of my diet.
I think that's a constant process. Paloma,
really
what about
yeah.
for you?
I think for me, like, because of the whole studying and all that, when I finished, I was like, self-care is the must. Like I really wanted to become, I want to, you know, like what we preach, I want to be like really as much as I can. So that's my thing. So I do lots of yoga. I think that's for me something that changed my life. Like before and after, is like, I don't, that's every day. Sleeping, like if I'm tired, naps is something that also helps me. And what else? Recently, well, I've done some fasting before, but now I think this year with all the things that have been happening, I'm getting the hang of it. Yeah. And it actually, because I think with food, we have this relationship that, yes, we get pleasure, but we also need the nourishment. So it's like a fine line, and because we have all these emotional things, how we grow up with it and all that. And in Chile, food is like, it's a thing, you know, it's like, and bread is a thing, and so it took me a while, and I think fasting has actually helped with that relationship of the food, like to see it.
So just on a slightly a side note, how have you found practicing food as medicine and nutrition in New Zealand different to Chile? Because the food would be different or the same, or?
Remember, in Chile, I was a GP, so I didn't know about food much. So
right, okay,
So, but really, we have very similar climates. And if we talk about Rongoa, we have cousins, you know, like Pucatea. The cousin of Pucatea is only in Chile.
Ah, okay.
So it has been amazing, because I think by learning here, I also learned there.
Yeah.
And my aim is like to keep working there, like when I go there, then so I keep the connection with my family.
So that's really interesting. So how do you stay up to date with information? So as a GP transitioning into naturopathic and herbal medicine, what do you do to keep yourself up to date with information on all angles, all aspects of what you do?
So last year, like what I found when I finished, I studied at World Park, okay? Mm-hmm. But I found that I joined World Park because I enjoy they had the scientific view. So if it made me feel safe, you know, it's like, this is real. But then you start learning about energetics, and I'm like, what is this? You know, like, what's happening here? And then you understand this, and it's like, yes, it makes sense. So when I finished, it took me 5 years to do naturopathy, because I did the last year part-time. I really wanted to like feel prepared.
Right. But
when I finished, it's like, I know not much about energetics. So I did the 4 courses of Rongoa with Rob and Donna. And then I did a summer workshop with Ayla Burgess.
Oh, wow.
So really just to get into that part that I felt that I wasn't really, that I needed more. And I'm like, okay, I have an understanding, and I have so many books. So I'm doing my own thing. But I think now is the point that we are integrating. So I'm doing everything. I'm following Rachel Arthur, so I have a few courses from her. I recently did the Acne Integrative Cancer workshop online. So everything, because I do feel like there's a place, so I just keep learning all the time.
That's pretty amazing. So for the public that may be watching, and our clients that may be watching, so then some of the names that Paloma was mentioning are people who are herbalists and experienced practitioners and experts in different fields. So they offer practitioner level training for us, and by way of workshops, or currently there's a lot of stuff online that we can do. Daisy, what about you? What do you do to keep up to date? Because I know that you're pretty good.
I'm always doing some course or other. At the moment, I'm doing a course with evolutionary herbalism in the States, and he does alchemical herbalism. Ooh. Which is a whole nother layer.
Yeah.
And his course appealed to me because it was going really in depth on that constitutional side of things. I'm also a mentor at the Naturopathic College for the third year, the clinical year, which I've got four students under my wing, and I'm really enjoying that because I'm actually reading research again. You know, when you're in a clinic, you usually don't, and you know, unless you go and seek something out, you're not reading general research.
Absolutely,
so that's really good at the moment. And another recent one I did was the Probiotic Advisors Meet Your Microbiome, which is a really good course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I read a lot, and
yeah. Oh, cool. Hey, that sort of covered the topic a little bit for today. Have either of you got anything else you want to add for anyone that might be out there watching or listening? Okay, that's awesome. So thanks, Paloma, and thanks, Daisy, for tuning in for our Nat Chat this week. So this is the first day, so we're on Monday. We've got one every day coming up, and part of Naturopathic Medicine's Week. So you can go to the website, which is naturopathicmedicineweek.co.nz. No, I think it's .co.nz. Sorry, that's a bit bad. I haven't got it written in front of me. But I'll post the link at the end of the video, and there's lots of activities and things that you can read around what our naturopaths are doing around New Zealand. So if you guys just want to stay online, I'm going to end the recording, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.